It was a crisp autumn morning in downtown Chicago. Vanessa Johnson, a poised and confident African-American woman in her early 40s, strode into Liberty Bank with a purpose. She had just finished a meeting across the street and needed to address a discrepancy in one of her business accounts. Dressed in a sleek navy suit and carrying a leather briefcase, Vanessa's presence was commanding. Yet as soon as she stepped one through the bank's grand double doors, she could feel the weight of judgmental eyes upon her. The marble-floored lobby was bustling with activity. Wealthy clients in tailored suits and expensive dresses were greeted with polite smiles and immediate attention. Vanessa, however, was met with a frosty glance from the receptionist, a young woman with platinum blonde hair who barely looked up from her computer screen. "Can I help you?" the receptionist asked, her tone clipped. "Yes, I'd like to speak with someone about my account," Vanessa said, maintaining her composure. The receptionist's eyes flicked to Vanessa's briefcase and back to her face. "Do you have an appointment?" "No, but this is urgent. It's regarding a substantial transaction." The receptionist's lips thinned. "I'll see if someone is available. Please wait over there." She gestured to a small seating area near the entrance, clearly far from the private offices where other clients were being escorted. Vanessa nodded and took a seat, her patience wearing thin. She had dealt with subtle racism and dismissiveness before, but today felt particularly grating. As she waited, she overheard murmurs from the staff behind the counter. Words like "wrong place" and "can't afford it" floated through the air, stinging her ears. After 20 minutes, a young banker named Greg approached her. His expression was one of forced politeness. "Miss Johnson? I'm Greg. How can I assist you today?" Vanessa stood, extending her hand. "Thank you for coming out. I'm here to discuss an issue with my account. There seems to be a delay in processing a significant wire transfer." Greg's smile faltered slightly as he took in her words. "Of course. Let's, step into one of the consultation rooms." As they walked past the reception desk, Vanessa couldn't miss the curious and skeptical glances cast her way by other employees. Once inside the small, glass-walled room, Greg sat across from her, pulling up her account information on his tablet. His expression quickly changed to one of surprise as he reviewed the numbers. "Oh," he said, blinking. "It appears you're managing quite a few accounts with us, and this transfer is significant." Vanessa raised an eyebrow. "Yes, I'm aware. That's why I'm here." Greg cleared his throat, clearly flustered. "There's been a minor delay due to standard verification procedures for high-value transactions. I'll expedite this for you right away." Vanessa leaned forward, her voice calm but firm. "Thank you. And while we're at it, I'd like to discuss the lack of professionalism I've encountered today. Your staff's dismissive behavior is unacceptable." Greg's face turned red. "I'm so sorry to hear that. I'll address it immediately." Vanessa nodded, her sharp gaze never wavering. "I hope so. This isn't just about me. It's about how every client is treated, regardless of appearance." Unbeknownst to Greg and the rest of the staff, Vanessa wasn't just any client. She was the majority shareholder of Liberty Bank, having acquired a controlling interest 6 months prior through her investment firm. Her visit that day had been intended as a routine check-in to observe the bank's operations firsthand. What she found, however, was an alarming display of systemic prejudice that she could no longer ignore. The following week, Vanessa called an emergency board meeting. The bank's executives, all middle-aged men, shuffled into the sleek conference room, exchanging nervous glances. They knew Vanessa as a sharp, no-nonsense businesswoman, but they had no idea why she had summoned them so urgently. Vanessa stood at the head of the table, her presence commanding. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, "I've spent the past week reviewing client interactions at various branches. What I've witnessed is deeply troubling." She detailed her experience at the downtown branch, sparing no one from her critique. "Bias and prejudice have no place in this institution," she said, her voice resolute. "If we are to succeed, we must treat every client with dignity and respect." One executive attempted to interject, but Vanessa raised a hand to silence him. "This is not up for debate. Effective immediately, we will be implementing mandatory diversity and inclusion training for all employees. Additionally, I will be conducting unannounced visits to ensure compliance." The room was silent as her words sank in. Vanessa's leadership was clear. Liberty Bank would change or heads would roll. In the months that followed, Vanessa's reforms began to take shape. The bank's employees underwent extensive training, learning to recognize and combat their biases. Policies were overhauled to ensure fairness and accountability. Vanessa herself made frequent visits to branches, engaging with staff and clients alike to foster a culture of inclusivity. One day, Vanessa returned to the downtown branch that had sparked her mission. This time, she was greeted warmly by the receptionist, who seemed to have undergone a complete transformation. "Miss Johnson, welcome back," the woman said, her smile genuine. Vanessa nodded, pleased but not entirely convinced. She knew that true change took time, but she was determined to see it through. As she walked through the lobby, she overheard a conversation between a teller and an elderly black man who was opening his first savings account. The teller's tone was patient and respectful, a stark contrast to what Vanessa had experienced months earlier. It was a small victory, but a victory nonetheless. Vanessa's story soon gained national attention. Media outlets praised her efforts to combat racism in the banking industry, and she became a sought-after speaker on issues of equity and leadership. But for Vanessa, the true reward was knowing that she had made a difference. One evening, as she sat in her office overlooking the Chicago skyline, Vanessa reflected on her journey. She had faced countless obstacles as a black woman in corporate America, but she had never let them define her. Instead, she used her experiences to drive change, proving that leadership was about more than just power. It was about purpose. Her phone buzzed with a message from Greg, the young banker who had assisted her that day. "Thank you for giving me a second chance," it read. "I've learned so much from you." Vanessa smiled, her resolve stronger than ever. The road ahead was long, but she knew she was on the right path. 6 months later, Vanessa launched an initiative called Banking Without Barriers, aimed at providing financial literacy workshops and resources to underserved communities. The program, supported by Liberty Bank, became a resounding success. Branches hosted events that brought in families, entrepreneurs, and individuals who had long felt excluded from the financial system. At one workshop, Vanessa met a single mother named Tasha, who had been struggling to secure a loan to expand her small catering business. "They always told me no," Tasha said, tears brimming in her eyes. "But today, someone finally said yes." Vanessa hugged her tightly. "This is just the beginning. You deserve this chance, and I'm so proud of you." The moment reaffirmed Vanessa's mission. She wasn't just fixing a broken system. She was opening doors for people who had been shut out for too long. 1 year after her initial visit to the downtown branch, Vanessa hosted a celebration at Liberty Bank's headquarters. Employees, clients, and community leaders gathered to honor the progress they had made together. As Vanessa took the stage, she looked out at the crowd, her heart swelling with pride. "A year ago, I walked into a branch of this bank and was reminded of how far we still have to go. Today, I see how far we've come. This is what happens when we choose equity over exclusion, compassion over judgment, and action over complacency." The room erupted in applause, but Vanessa knew the work was far from over. Change wasn't a destination, it was a journey. And as she stood there, enjoying in the moment, she silently vowed to keep pushing forward. True progress, she realized, was built one person, one policy, and one choice at a time. And she was just getting started. Did you ever face discrimination in places like the bank? Please let us know your stories in the comments below.